Infinity Games Podcast.
I'm Jukeboxhero,
I am KelryxsKing.
and this is the Infinity Games Podcast.
Yay!
We're gonna jump right out of the gate with our first regular segment, games we've been playing.
Indeed.
Why don't you start us off, Kelryx?
Oh god, I've been playing a lot lately. My brain. Now all of a sudden I can't remember what I've been playing. I beat Breath of the Wild.
Damn,
That was-
Skippy.
That was wonderful. And then Destiny recently released their final update for their first game. They called it Age of Triumph, and the whole idea of it is that we get to go back and we get to do everything that we have done over the last 3 years. Everything is up to the current light level. Everything gives you rewards you can use, and it's awesome. We've been having a lot of fun with it. Me and the friends that play it.
So hold on, what was the actual content they added?
They didn't technically add anything.
Oh,
What they did add was they added a new record book, which is it keeps track of the accomplishments you've done. So
Okay.
it's let's say it's I have my hunter, or no, not my hunter. Screw that. I have my warlock, warlock master race. Anyways, and I have a section in the record book. It's a 12-page record book. It's the biggest one to date because it literally covers everything that the game's ever had to offer. So, and it has various ones reach level 40 as a warlock. I've done that long time ago. And then it's get 250 melee kills, get so many super kills, get so many grenade kills, generate so many orbs of light, do the class-specific crucible challenges, all this other stuff. And then the record book, which is the only thing they technically added, it gives you experience and emblems. And as you level up the record book, if you reach level 7 of the record book, which I assume you'd probably reach at about 90% completion, because they did say in all their streams and everything, they said that you do not have to achieve 100% in the record book to unlock your final reward. And the final reward is actually super cool. It gives you a code that you can put into the Bungie store, and you're able to purchase a Destiny t-shirt at a discounted price with your gamer tag on it,
nifty.
which I think is just freaking awesome. And me and my girlfriend, we're both super excited to grind those out and get Destiny shirts, because she got one a while ago, but it doesn't fit her the way she likes, so she hasn't really worn it much. But we're really excited to get shirts with gamer tags on them. Granted, my gamer tag is different than the name that I have created for everything
Your
different.
online personality.
Yeah, exactly. It's completely different, but hey, give me a break. I made it when I was 13.
Right.
So, I mean,
we
yeah,
all did.
exactly. We all had weird. It's like the email addresses, man. Yours,
Yeah,
yours,
everyone had a Hotmail.
Yeah, yours was good. Yours made sense. It was a name of a really good song. Mine was okay, all right. But so yeah,
Oh, God.
we've been playing a lot of Destiny lately. I've been trying to grind Buddy up. I got friend's account. I was I know you work shit hours. I know you want to play, but if you're not up the light level that you need to be at, then there's nothing we can do for you. So I was
Yeah.
put your information into my PlayStation, and when I have free time, I'll try and grind you up a little. So I was able to get him about 20 more light levels. I think we're gonna play a little tonight. I'm gonna try and grind him up some more so that he's on par for tomorrow.
Good guy Kelryx over here.
I try. I do my best. But
Do better.
I haven't sucked enough dicks. I need to suck more dicks for the light level. But so I've been playing Destiny. I went back to Destiny, and then what else have I been doing lately? I mean, phone app games. That's kind of
Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah, the Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yu-Gi-Oh counts, man.
Yu-Gi-Oh counts.
Yeah.
I don't grind as hard as my one buddy though, but
I've been playing the shit out of that for the last 2 days.
it's good. It's good. It's good nostalgia, man, because it's not it's me and my friend were talking about it, and we were oh, it'd be kind of nice if they could upgrade it to 5 monster card zones and everything, but then they got to bring in the synchros and the pendulums and the XCs monsters and all this, and then it gets fucking hectic.
Well, they wouldn't necessarily have to do that. The game lived for a really long time without those kinds of cards.
That's true too.
Yeah. And I'm sure they're going to reach that point eventually anyways, or they're going to create a new app.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all. By all means, I would enjoy it if they expanded to 5 card zones and just kept it simple with if they just kept it simple with, fusion monsters, ritual monsters, and just leave it at that, because when, Yu-Gi-Oh's gotten devolved to the point, next time we hang out in person, I'll show you what their newest gimmick is. It's called Link Summoning, and it's the biggest amount of garbage I've ever heard of in my life. I digress.
Once they got the white Stardust Dragon cards or whatever, that's when I stopped getting them.
Yeah, no. Synchro summons were, I don't know, they were okay. I like Xyz monsters. I like the concept of the Xyz monsters. I love the pendulum monsters, but it's just a matter of these days, especially when you consider tournament play and stuff, it's literally just, it boils down to who wants to spend the most money to get the expensive cards you need, and
which is lame.
It's just that, and that's what would happen if we got dual links, and then if they expanded to 5 card zones, and then they just started adding in all the other stuff, then it would just boil down to the first guy that gets a super freaking rare pull out of one of the packs, he breaks the game, or all the people that want to drop money into it. So
even as in its current state, I feel like you can always determine if you're going to win or not after the very first move, especially if you're going second, because if your opponent has a monster stronger than you, then there's almost literally nothing you can do unless you have a ritual or a fusion
or a really bugging OP spell or trap card.
Yeah, but those are so far and few between. It's just if I go into my first turn and the other person, especially you, if you got Jerry Bean Man at 1750 and my strongest monster is only 1700, I'm straight screwed immediately unless I have a ritual or a fusion, because then my first monster, you're going to kill it no matter what and immediately attack my life points, and there's no coming back from that.
And that's I watched the one guy on YouTube, right? And he's been doing a lot of Duel Links videos, and he's fun to watch, right? But
Which one?
Shady Penguin,
right?
He's been doing lots of Duel Links, and he's fun to watch. He's entertaining. He knows what he's doing. He knows what he's talking about, and all this. But the fact of the matter is, he makes money off YouTube that he immediately puts into the app to get all the good cards.
Yeah.
So
I finally just got my first ultra rare today, and I had to open 110 packs to get it.
Yep.
That was horseshit.
Your luck's as bad as mine. I'm 130 packs deep into the Neo Impact set, and I've pulled, I think, 2 ultra rares and maybe 4 or 5 super rares, and that's it.
Yeah, my fucking luck today. I got 10 packs. I opened 2 of them. My iPod crashed. I opened it back up. I cannot open those other 8 packs.
Did you try just looking in your deck building thing and seeing if maybe
it didn't? Nothing's there.
Oh, that sucks.
And even when I go to where you buy the packs and stuff, it says I'm at 168 packs, which means I only opened 2 since the last time. So
that's such bullshit. I'd be writing a complaint message. I'd be like, you stole my gems.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not going to do that because I don't put money into this game, but I did send them a bug report so they can, deal with that.
Yeah, for sure.
No, dude, do you have Bakura yet?
No, I still got to grind him out. I got another, I think, 130,000 points I got to get.
Jeez. Yeah, that's why I've been playing so hard for the last 2 days, is I just want to get Bakura, and then I'll probably go back to casually playing it 1 duel a day.
Yeah, I've been trying, but then it's just, I've been so torn. I've been doing so much running around lately, and then I've been, we're trying to get, find the time to do podcasts, and I got Destiny, and it's I've been busy as shit, so.
I know that feeling. But it ends on April 2nd, so
Yeah, so
get your shit moving.
Yeah, I gotta get my button gear. I'll probably grind it out tonight.
Yeah,
I'll just slowly
my
farm
simple
dice.
strategy pretty much is like, if you battle him at level 20, he's super easy to beat. He's got a 3 times multiplier, so I can get about 10,000 points each time.
Yep.
So, I mean, I only need like 200 dice or whatever, 400 out. I'm not mathing right now, but like it doesn't take that long. I'm at like 160,000 points.
Yeah, you're way further along than me. I'm at like 70. I think I'm at 72,000 or something right now.
Yeah. I might try and grind it out all the way until April 2nd though, because you get really good return after 200,000. Like they start giving you like 10,000 coins for getting to the next level.
Yeah.
Of points and stuff.
It's just that. It was the same when they did the Pegasus event, which unfortunately I missed. I hadn't downloaded the app at that point.
Me either.
So, I mean, and it was the same, I guess, like people that were like going hard on the event, like they were just making stacks of like gems and coins and all that. And I'm just like,
jeez.
Well, damn.
And I think this applies to both of us. Like neither of us will ever put money into these kinds of games.
Nope. I'm not doing it.
Well, you have, but I mean you won't now.
I have, but for me, where Duel Links is very different is my one buddy, he's been playing it really hardcore. Like every time I duel him on there, I get stomped because he's put more time into it, so he's got more gems, he's got more cards, etc. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So because it's like the only thing he can play where he lives because he's got zero internet otherwise, right? He can't run his PlayStation up there, so it's rough. I feel for the guy
working in a camp.
No, he had to move back over to like Hudson Bay because he was laid off or whatever, and he had no money, so he had to go move back in with his parents.
That's rough.
Kitty cat back half, but yeah, so. That's unfortunate for him. So, but he said it in a very good way. He said, there is no way in hell I am spending money on something virtual that I already collect in real life.
Right.
And I'm like, that's just
That's a good point too.
And it's just that. If I'm going to spend money on Yu-Gi-Oh, I'm going to buy real fucking cards. Because then at least if, I'm fucking 40 years old and, hey, maybe my old cards are worth something at this point, it's like I can't be like, hey, guys, I have a Duel Links account. Who wants to buy it for $100? I got some rare cards on there. Like, no, doesn't work like that. This ain't RuneScape.
Do you remember, for people listening, we have a buddy who has a mohawk, so we'll just refer to him as Mohawk Man.
Mohawk Man.
We went to a convention, and it was probably our first convention for most of us, and he just brought a baggie of Yu-Gi-Oh cards. And he was gonna trade it to a vendor just to get a little bit of cash and whatever else. And I remember looking through his cards, and it was like the original expansion, like Legend of the Blue Eyes. He had all of like the ultra rares and stuff, like cards that are worth at least $40, stuff like that.
Yeah.
He traded them all away for a toque and a scarf.
Yeah.
And it pissed me right the fuck off.
Yeah, we didn't let him live that one down.
No.
We did not let him. Yeah, it bugs me too. I remember you just came and found me because I had fucked off somewhere else to check on something, and you come up to me and you're like, "Oh my god!" I'm like, "Oh shit, what happened?" You're like, "Guess what? Traded his cards in for?" I'm like, "Oh, did he get mad cash?" You're like, "No, he got a toque and a scarf." I'm like, "What? Is it made of fucking gold?"
No, it was like felt and handmade. Yeah. Like,
it's a nice toque and scarf. They're okay.
I don't agree with that.
No,
I mean they're all handmade, and I wouldn't even pay the like $30 or $40 they were charging for them.
No, me either. But I mean, if they were up for like $15, I'd consider it. I mean, they're not like they weren't like super terrible. It's just one of those things where it's like, oh, dude, you got ripped off so hard. And
like he didn't even care. He's just like, yeah, whatever. And I'm just like, man, why didn't you just like give them to me or something?
And it's such an insane parallel.
I would have got you the money eventually.
Yeah, right? No kidding. Sell them one at a time or whatever. And it's funny because it's like we went to the convention last September, with Buddy that I was just talking about here, who's been playing Duel
Mohawk
Links
Man.
just like us. No, not Mohawk
other
Man. I
guy.
didn't. Yeah, I went with Buddy that lives in buttfuck nowhere now.
Okay.
He came down with a couple of friends, so we go, and one of the booths, like always, all of the lots of booths have binders full of rare Pokemon cards, rare Yu-Gi-Oh cards, whatever. So I'm flipping through it, and there's some rare stuff in there, right? Like OCG stuff that we don't have yet. Like it's all Korean, right?
Cool.
But it's in English, if that makes sense, right?
All right.
But like the OCG and the TCG, because it's the I can't remember what the OCG stands for. Original card game, I believe, and the TCG is the trading card game. So some card effects differ. Like if you ever watch the anime and a card effect is like it does one thing in the anime and then you look at it in real life and it does something wildly different, chances are the OCG version of that card has something more similar to what was in the anime or the manga or whatever.
Okay.
Right? So they had like some OCG cards for a deck that I own. Like I built a deck and they were cards that were compatible and I was like, I want these so bad. And they were all $15 a piece. And these were like these were like newer cards, like newer, like ultra rare cards. Yeah. So they didn't even have time to, for lack of a better term, ferment,
Like, appreciate.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas it's like, here's Mohawk Man. He's got a freaking like limited edition, first edition Blue Eyes White Dragon secret rare or whatever. And he's like, I like that took. I'm just like, no, Mohawk Man, no. But
fuck.
But I digress. So those.
Yeah. We better get back to what we've been playing. Yeah. Else I'm gonna get pissed off.
I was gonna say I was playing Xenoblade Chronicles, but I did stop because I lent my Wii U to a friend so that he could play Breath of the Wild. Because, of course, he really wanted to play it. He has no Wii U. He's like, I'm not about to go and buy a Wii U. I'm like, well, I'm not using mine for anything, really. Like, I was playing Xenoblade, but I'll deal, right? Like,
yeah.
So, but I was actually having a lot of fun with that, especially because I glitched the game and power leveled, like, within the first 2 hours. So, I mean, I'm just cruising, but...
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have 110 hours to play through an RPG, I'd fucking do it.
Yeah, if you don't have the time, glitch it. But so far my only complaint that I had with Xenoblade really is the money system.
Really?
I hate when RPGs force you to side quest. It irritates the ever-living Christ out of me. Side questing is supposed to be optional. They did the same thing in Final Fantasy 15. I got to a point in the game where I was like, I have no money. I cannot buy anything. None of the enemies drop any amount of cash. This is bullshit. The first side quest I do, I get like 10k gold. Or gil, I suppose.
I'll assume that's a good amount.
It is. It's a fair amount. And I'm like, really? Like, it bothers me. I like side quests. I do.
Do you remember in Sequelitis where they were talking about artificially increasing the length of a game in relation to Castlevania 2?
Yep.
It's the exact same shit, except modernized.
It is. And it's... People don't realize it half the time. Like, Breath of the Wild, good side quest system. Like, they programmed it to the fucking nines as far as I'm concerned. You could literally play through the entire game without ever doing a single extra shrine, activating a single extra tower, or talking to a single extra person. You could blast the whole game if you wanted. It wouldn't be very
good.
It wouldn't be good or forgiving. I mean, you'd have 7 hearts going into the last boss, but I mean,
yeah,
it's just that the game is designed so that you can 100% just no side quest if you want.
And Xenoblade and Final Fantasy 15 just like require that shit.
It's
like the polar opposite.
And it's a half and half again, because it's not completely required, but it's like I'm in a point at Xenoblade where I'm in this like marsh and I'm over leveled as all hell, but some of the enemies are still having an easy enough time standing up to my attacks. Like, it still takes me like a good little while to kill like a level 15 enemy. I'm like, this is weird. So I hit up the shop and I'm like, oh, I should just upgrade my weapons or my armor or whatever, and everything is so goddamn expensive. And it's just that. So, like, the last time I booted up Xenoblade Chronicles, I played for, 4 hours, and it was all side quests. Because I was like, I
would
need
still
money.
consider that a requirement. If you reach a point where you can no longer proceed, regardless of, like, skill and all that stuff, it's a requirement. And I mean, you hadn't reached that point yet where you couldn't, like, defeat the enemies, but, like, you probably would have reached that point eventually.
Because, I mean, I
had to go side quest for money.
Yeah, because, I mean, in Xenoblade Chronicles, for example, Final Fantasy 15 is a little bit worse, in my opinion, but I'll get to that in just a second. Xenoblade Chronicles, like, the enemies and stuff will still drop weapons and armor and stuff like that, which isn't bad, because I can go farm some enemies and get new armor if I want. But the fact of the matter is, it's like, it kind of sucks that I can't get to a new area and be like, oh, this sword is way stronger than what I have, and I can't buy it, without going and messing around and doing some side quests. Which kind of hurts the whole point of my power leveling, because I power leveled for the purpose of being able to just get through the game. I was like, I want to experience the story, I want to be ready for the day when Xenoblade Chronicles 2 comes out, and all this, and then I'm slowed down because I have to side quest to earn money to be able to buy, potions and, whatever. Well, potions not in Xenoblade, that's but...
Yeah.
But that's how it is in Final Fantasy. It was the same thing. I got to a point where I was like, I have no money. I can't afford new weapons. I can't afford potions and stuff. Like, what am I going to do? And then I start realizing, I got to do the fucking side quests and shit. So, and I mean, it's not that the side quests aren't fun. I just hate that it's like, if you're playing a game and you want to get through it, you're hindered. And it's like, no, you gotta back the fuck up here for a minute. You're not allowed to just blast through this game, like. And it's just, it's one of those things.
Like,
it's just,
it's forcing you to play it. They want you to play it.
Exactly. Skyrim is another good example, like Skyrim and Oblivion. They're another good example of side questing being completely optional. Because when I first played through Oblivion, I did a couple of side quests here and there, but for the most part, I just went straight through the main story because it was my first Elder Scrolls game. Like, I didn't think to, hey, go and do a bunch of side quests, right? So I get through the game, and I'm, like, level 18 out of fucking 60 or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, now what? And then I'm like, oh, look, side quests, So, I mean, I go through the whole game, doing dick all for side quests. I mean, that was good. I didn't have too hard of a time. Some enemies were a little tougher because I was a little lower level, but I mean, at least it wasn't like, you're poor, go do stuff.
Sorry, my nose just cleared up for once.
Yay!
I literally never have two nostrils to breathe through, so this is weird.
I know that feeling. Every once in a while mine clear up and I'm just like, oh, this is a whole new sensation.
Yeah.
Anyways, what have you been playing lately?
Oh, jeez. I finally beat Breath of the Wild.
Yay, twinsies.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't touch it for almost 2 whole weeks. And it turns out I was an hour away from beating the final boss.
Yeah, that's funny.
Like, I was right there. I should have just, like, stayed up an extra hour or something when I was playing it to finish it, but I thought I was going to have a lot more of a dungeon to go through.
Yeah, well, that's just the thing, too, is it's like, how are you supposed to know that, hey, go through this door, and there's the boss? Like, I was also a little disappointed that there wasn't, like, an actual dungeon for the final boss. It was just like, run through everything, don't die, get to the end. I was like,
yeah, it was pretty linear.
I kind of wish that Hyrule Castle had incorporated a little bit from each of the other 4 dungeons.
Yeah.
To, like, so that you literally had to use every single rune you had.
Yeah.
And I feel like that,
dude?
What?
Yeah. We should talk about this on our next podcast.
We'll
just make the whole thing about Zelda.
Down.
Yeah.
So what else have you been playing?
Well, definitely Duel Links.
Yep.
And I almost got Bakura. What the fuck else have I been playing?
Could have sworn there was 1 or 2 others that you've been going on.
I don't know, dude.
Was there a Steam game or anything that you've been playing lately?
No, I've barely touched computer games. Oh, Pokemon Go. I'm always playing that.
You're always playing that. You and your mom play that like crazy.
Yeah, my phone battery's like ready to explode, so I've
Yep.
actually not been playing it as much, waiting for my new battery to arrive.
Yeah, for me, I loved the idea of Pokemon Go, but I honestly think I need to wait until trading is an option, and I need to wait until PvP battles are an option, because the gym system I don't like it personally. It angers me that the people who, downloaded the illegal shit and got the game like a month in advance were able to just grind everything up, and then it's like you start the game like fresh, like you and I did, and it's like, oh look, the first gym I find, it's got a 2000 CP Dragonite in it. Yippee fucking yay.
Yeah. Trading should be a thing really soon. They've been dropping hints and stuff. They've been doing a lot of events.
Mm-hmm.
But I know you haven't played it much, if at all, for like the last several months.
I booted up.
It was like pissing you off and whatnot.
Not necessarily pissing me off. It's just like, it's just unfortunate with like where I live versus where you live. If I still lived over near you with mom and dad, I would have been going to the stone barn with you every time you went.
Yeah.
Right? Like, all the time, I would have gone with you all the time, because boom, it's like, you take a 20-minute walk and it's like Pokestop, 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 Pokestop.
Yeah.
Whereas me, I would have to walk 40 minutes just to get to one.
Yeah.
Like, so it's just an unfortunate circumstance of where I live is what kind of killed the fun of the game. Had I also, you for example, you also had the advantage of you were still in school at the U of, so you were able to, run around the U of and
go to the university and get all the stops, because there was like 80.
Exactly, right? So it's just a matter of
yeah. But
had I had those opportunities like you did, well, it's not that I did
what
it.
you may have not noticed and stuff, because you don't play it as often, is they've drastically changed the gym systems, and they've rebalanced the Pokemon a few times. So
that's good.
If you defeat a gym, it goes down more than it used to.
Okay.
And if you're in a gym or you're training a gym of your team color, you can get more prestige points than you used to be able to.
Oh, well, that's good.
If you are a lower level, it will actually decrease the CP of the Pokemon in the gym, so it's less of a, spanking.
Yeah, so that you can at least still do something,
Yeah. But, this game really just rewards people who continued to play. Like, if you stopped and you're still, like, within the teens, like level 10 through 19, you're going to have a hard time fighting the people in the gym.
Oh, for sure.
But the way they made leveling up is it's exponential. So even these crazy bastards who have been, like, paying money into the game and doing literally nothing but playing it since it came out, like, 9 months ago.
Yeah.
They are still only at like level 30 to 33.
Yeah.
And because it's exponential, at that point, they need to get like 1,000,000 XP to level up. Whereas that equivalent amount of XP will get you all the way from like level 15 to 23 or something. I mean, there is still time to catch up, and they've been doing a lot of events where you get extra XP or you get double XP or more Pokemon show up or more special Pokemon show up and stuff.
Extra candies and all that good stuff.
See, at this point, I barely even touch the gyms, especially since I was having troubles with my phone crashing and stuff in the battery. So all I want is to complete the decks, and that's what's pissing me off, because like 10k Pokemon that you have to walk 10 kilometers to hatch the eggs, the eggs are rare to begin with. Yeah. And then it's random what you get, and they have, well, I guess it's not totally random, they have different probabilities on what you can hatch. So for the second generation Pokemon, a Mantine and a Sudowoodo have high hatch rates from 10k eggs. I didn't get a 10k egg for 6 months. Like, it was a really long stretch, and it really pissed me off considering how much I played the game.
Yeah.
Well, I finally got to, and they were both Mantines. The next week, they do a water event. Everyone and their dog has a Mantine now. Like, it doesn't feel special anymore. That rare-ass 10k egg doesn't feel special because everyone else has this Pokemon now.
What's also been
And there's so many of them. I mean, there's no way you can get all of them unless you walk like 50 kilometers a day.
Yeah. What's also personally been irritating me about Pokemon Go, and again, I haven't been playing it much, so I feel kind of bad saying anything ill about it, but it irritates me how it's like you get all this like legend hype and you get all these like legend rumors and all this, and it's like they still haven't dropped a single legendary Pokemon type event.
Yeah, it's so stupid. Like,
And it
everyone
makes me
thought it was
mad.
going to be like how they did Ingress, where like it was one centralized place, like the
Yeah.
capital city or whatever of your province or your state or whatever.
That'd be nifty for
And
us.
it'd be like
to
a
Edmonton,
massive fight.
right? But it's
yeah.
it bothered me how they moved on to Generation 2, and don't get me wrong, I'm glad they moved up to Generation 2 because now you
Yeah.
have more
It
options,
needed
right?
that refresh.
It definitely did. But it's just one of those things. It's like you moved on to Generation 2 and you technically didn't even have a full Generation 1 dex.
Yeah. Like, even
What?
for those crazy people who, even the ones who were like hacking and stuff, like,
Yeah.
they didn't have one either.
No.
Like, I remember in the beta testing and stuff where they did the interview with the people who had the limited version of it before it was fully released.
Yeah.
They were like, yeah, I've been playing this for 2 months on your beta, and I've gone, across the country. I've been playing it for like 4 hours a day. I still don't have a complete dex. I'm around 100 Pokemon out of 151.
Yep.
And they're like, oh yeah, you just got to travel more and keep playing, blah, blah, blah. I bet you those guys still don't have all 151, especially
doubt
since
it.
you can't get the legendaries. But like, even for the 10k Pokemon, or like, because when you walk with a buddy, you get candies.
Yeah.
But like, to get a Kabutops, you need 50 candies. I managed to catch a Kabuto once, several months ago. He's been my buddy for months. I had to walk 250 kilometers to get enough candies to be able to evolve him to Kabutops.
Yep.
I mean, you can't always have this game on. It drains the battery. You can't
Yeah.
always be walking with the game on. I mean, there's so many limitations to it.
What I always personally giggled about is when the game first dropped, right? And it was like everybody was like, "Oh, tips for how to enhance your Pokemon Go experience." And it was like pack snacks, pack a water bottle, pack a battery charger. I was like, "Pack a new fucking phone."
No kidding.
Like, have one shit phone that you can charge to Kingdom Come and literally never take off a charger just for Pokemon. If you need a phone for anything else, don't fucking touch this game.
Yeah, it's the worst. And I mean, they did Pokemon Go Plus, which pretty much allows you to not have to turn on your phone for it. Like, it just communicates over Bluetooth. But they made it so fucking limited that no one can get it.
Oh, dude, I've seen tons of them.
Seriously?
Yeah.
I
They had,
haven't
like,
seen a
4
single one.
I mean, it's a bit of a trip, but they had like 4 of them at West Ed just today. There were like 4 of them behind the shelf. There was one at the EB Games here the other day.
Huh.
But
You know what, dude? You might just
are-
be getting lucky, because I was at West Ed on Tuesday and they didn't have any.
that's super.
I'm sure
weird,
they
then.
sell out like immediately, dude.
Probably. But I mean, you're not wrong. I'm just saying it's a weird coincidence that they are so limited, and of course scalpers went nuts.
Ugh.
And and it's just funny that is the occurrence, and I'm just like, I've been seeing them left and right, like,
Yeah.
because I even pointed that out when I saw them at ours in town here. I was like, you have a Pokemon Go Plus? He's like, yeah, we just got 2 in a box at random, and I'm pretty sure we went in a day or 2 later after that, and I was like, oh, what happened? Yeah, they sold fast.
Yeah.
Whether
I mean,
and it's just whether people are like, oh, I can sell those for a fortune on eBay and shit, or whether it's somebody who was like, oh, I can finally get one.
yeah.
And the thing is, I've also seen YouTube videos of people talking about the Pokemon Plus, and they say that as convenient as it is, it's also kind of not worth your time, because then it takes out all the fun of the game.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
it's like,
to a certain degree, of course.
yeah, because I mean, if you wanted to, you could always open your phone every time it buzzed.
Yeah.
But I mean, for the most part, everybody's been going, it buzzes, you tap or you hold it or do what you do to throw a Pokeball. If you catch a Pokemon, it vibrates and it blinks or whatever. So it's like you could walk around for a day, potentially catch 10 things. You don't know what it is until you boot your phone up at lunchtime or whatever, right?
Yeah. But, I mean, sometimes that's just what you want. Like, I would be super happy about that because in our town, we catch nothing but hoots and ratatas and pidgeys and stuff. So, I mean,
Ain't that the
I don't want to have to, like, open up my phone, lose 20% battery to catch 10 of those things.
No kidding. Yeah,
But yeah, it's, I don't know, they're constantly upgrading. I'm still happy with the game, but like, there's going to be a lot that they can do to make it better, and they're always working on it to make it better, so.
Agreed. And I definitely think if they can make it more akin to an actual Pokemon game,
Yeah.
I'd lose my damn mind.
Well, it'll be coming eventually. And then we'll get you playing. Cause,
yeah, for sure.
I've been saving doubles of like rare Pokemon and stuff just so I can trade them with people I know haven't been playing.
Hey.
So like I got extra Pikachus with Santa hats. I got like 2 Blastoises. I got a couple Victory Bells, stuff like that.
Nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, like once it gets to the point where, you know, maybe instead of like, because I'm not gonna lie, I like the idea of being able to dodge attacks and stuff in the gyms.
Yeah.
Because it makes it feel more like what a Pokemon battle should be. Because it's just that. It's like you watch the anime, and the anime's corny as all hell. But the fact of the matter is, Pokemon are living beings, right? They're living things. They're not literally just gonna stand in one spot and beat on each other until one of them goes down. Like, they're gonna be active, running around. Yeah. Oh, my knee! Oh!
Yeah.
Just do whatever you want, man. Oh, wait, what?
I mean, Venusaur. If you don't know what the fuck we're saying, go watch Poke Awesome.
Egoraptor is God.
Yeah, close enough.
Make sure you ask him about the D Club.
Oh, God. Yeah,
Anyways.
Just look up that one episode about the gingerbread man and touching dicks.
Yeah. Anyways, let's talk Mechanics Workshop.
Yeah, our new segment, Mechanics Workshop.
I like it.
Mechanics Workshop time.
So do you want to? Oh, yay. So what we're going to do in the Mechanics Workshop is we're going to be discussing and talking about and comparing various mechanics that show up in all sorts of different video games, but ultimately it's the same concept, such as, you know, like you play an RPG and, you know, certain enemies are weak to certain elements of magic and stuff like that. Like that's a universal thing. That's in every video game under the sun pretty much. There's always super effective damage and critical hits and this and that. So every podcast we're going to have a segment of our Mechanics Workshop where we're going to discuss one game mechanic that appears over multiple games, but you know, it may or may not have different activation criteria. It might not do the same thing in every game.
We'll compare and contrast with different games. Exactly.
So what we're talking about today is we're talking about critical hits. And if you've ever played a video game in your life that wasn't Tetris, even Tetris has critical hits. I don't care. That's what a 4-line score is. So if you've played anything that isn't Pong, then you know what a critical hit is. So Jukebox has picked out a couple of games he's very familiar with, and I've picked out a few games that I'm very familiar with such a mechanic in them. So we're going to take a little bit of time, we're going to discuss said mechanics, how they function in the games, activation criteria, you know, whatever, and compare.
So with critical hits, I mean, the vast majority of games that will have that sort of function are RPGs.
Yes,
so
that's where they're most prominent.
Prevalent.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's kind of 2 styles of critical hit that I find. One is completely random, and the other is stat-based.
Yes. There's 3 then, actually.
What's the third?
Enemies having a soft spot. Like, for example, you're playing like Call of Duty or something. Well, maybe not Call of Duty, but I mean, you play a gun-based shooter or whatever, chances are the enemy, if you shoot them in the head, or if they have like an exposed, if their stomach is exposed, something like that, somewhere on their body will normally do bonus
More
damage.
Okay.
Exactly.
I mean, I guess that counts, yeah.
For sure.
So those could kind of be outside of the RPG realm. So like maybe God of War type games, beat 'em ups and whatnot.
I know some beat 'em ups definitely have critical hits. God of War, just an example. I'm pretty sure critical hits aren't a thing. You could consider like stun lock hits or something maybe, but to my knowledge there isn't anything in God of War specifically that counts as a critical hit. But
well,
I digress.
Probably a good example would be Monster Hunter then.
Monster Hunter is a very good example.
Yeah,
yes.
so like you up against whatever dragon, it's got a big ass fat belly. You fucking hit that, you like do extra damage, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Or if you break their horn or cut off their tail, something like that, it'll typically hurt a lot more than if you just beat on them normally.
Yeah. To an even lesser degree, in Shadow of the Colossus, when you're on top of the Colossus and you stab them within that circle where it releases their black demon goo or whatever the fuck it is. The closer you are to the center of that circle, the more it releases.
Yeah.
So that's a very centralized example.
Okay. So you picked out 2 games?
Yeah.
Right? Okay, well I have 3. So how about I'll start, and then I'll do 1 game, you do 1, I'll do 1, you do 1, and then I'll finish it off with my 3rd one.
Sure.
All right. So the first game I picked is, again, if you've ever touched a video game in your life, which if you're listening to this podcast, I sure hope you have. And if you haven't, please do.
Yeah. There's a lot out there.
I'm going to talk about critical hits in Pokemon, because to me they're one of the most significant critical hits in the gaming industry.
Yeah.
Because of, in my personal opinion, one major reason is that they released their first set of games, red, blue, yellow, green, and when the second generation came around, they nixed the entire critical hit thing. They rewrote all the code for it. They were like, we're not doing that again. Because what happened is, in Generation 1, critical hits were based on the base speed of your Pokemon. Essentially, the faster your Pokemon was, the higher chance you had to critical hit, which made certain Pokemon, such as like Alakazam and Jolteon and really fast Pokemon, way too friggin' OP. And what made it even more broken is, and the fan favorite for this is, believe it or not, Venusaur. Now, when you see a Venusaur, do you think, damn, that's a fast Pokemon?
No.
Bitch runs Mach 20. No. But
ain't no one picked that fucking Bulbasaur.
I did. But anyways.
Really?
I love Bulbasaur.
Okay. But like literally everyone I ever talked to is like, yeah, Charmander, that's the one I chose.
I mean, I picked Charmander too, but I love me some Bulbasaur. So, anyways. So, the reason Venusaur was so insanely broken in Gen 1, Persian was also a good example. The only reason Venusaur beats it out is because he has the bulk to back it up. So,
alright.
What happens is, you know how certain moves in Pokemon have a higher critical hit chance, such as Slash, Psycho Cut, Razor Leaf. There's a couple others, but they have a higher than normal chance to enable a critical hit. Right?
Right.
So, in Generation 1, if you had a Venusaur with Razor Leaf, it was a critical hit 100% of the time.
Nice.
Every single Razor Leaf you threw was a critical hit. So,
duly noted.
So, and the reason for that is because the game didn't read your critical hit chance off of your current speed stat. What it read it off of was your base speed, and every Pokemon has different base stats, right? So Venusaur's was just high enough to count. So you have this very bulky Pokemon with a respectable attack stat using a strong move that crits 100% of the time.
Broken as fuck.
Broken as fuck.
So what
And
did
then
they do in the second gen, man?
So what they did in the second gen is, I don't know what the exact details behind it are, but essentially they made it more similar to most RPGs where it's a random chance. You still have moves, and in later gens you got access to items that can boost your chance for a critical hit, and there's the infamous focus energy move that supposedly boosts your critical hit chance, but I don't think it actually ever worked until like 5th gen when they fixed it. So, and it immediately becomes your worst nightmare in Nuzlocke. It's the worst. So
yeah, that's happened to me.
So that's just it. Is they made it so that, you know, if you're like, I can't count the amount of times I've been in a gym battle or something and I'm like, I'm gonna die if I don't get a crit here, and you know, I don't get a crit, but
right.
But it's just that. So they fixed it.
Our
They
luck.
made it random. They made it random chance, but it's still a very significant iteration of critical hits to me, because, you know, it was just so broken originally, especially when you consider that critical hits in Pokemon, they multiply the damage by, I think it used to be by, I think it multiplied the damage times 2, and I think they lowered it to 1.5 these days. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
But I mean,
close enough. The idea is still there.
You get boosted damage, and it also ignores defense boosts.
See, the weird thing about randomness, especially with like a random critical hit and stuff, is that most often it's not technically random.
Oh no, of course not.
Usually there's like a formula behind it.
And of course, and you can see that a lot if you watch people speedrun Pokemon, there's a lot of instances where they'll talk about how they do something specific to manipulate the RNG.
Yeah. Right?
And there are definitely ways around it, and it's the same as everything. If something has a formula, the formula can be broken.
Yeah.
That's just
you
how
can optimize it
is.
to be closest or give you the highest probability of what you want.
Exactly. So it's just that. Of course, nothing's ever 100% random.
Yeah.
You know,
with randomness, it would depend on what the variable is. So if you could imagine, if a critical hit was truly random, you really only have two choices. Either it is critical or it's not. So you got a 50-50 chance. So
yeah, exactly.
They have to do these formulas. So in a lot of RPGs, you will have a stat that the formula is based around. So in Earthbound, you have a gut stat. The higher your gut stat is, the higher probability you get of a smash attack. So that's like one of the only games I know of where they don't actually call it critical hit. It's smash or smashing attack.
Yeah, but it's the exact same concept.
Yep. And so if you have a high gut stat, it increases your probability of getting a smash.
Mm-hmm.
No, in Earthbound, it's guts. Strangely enough, you also have a luck stat. Has nothing to do with if you get criticals or not. I don't know what the fuck it is. But
isn't the luck stat like a boost for like potential drops and stuff?
I have no clue.
Okay, well,
but it just really weirded me out that luck wasn't the one they use for critical hits, because that's like a common thing across all RPGs.
Yeah, you'd think, right? I know.
Yeah.
Because most RPGs, if you have a luck stat, that's exactly what it does. The higher it is the higher your chance for criticals. Sometimes the higher your critical damage, and also more often than not, the higher your luck stat, the higher chance the enemies have to drop items and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing I can really assume, is that I'm gonna assume that if your gut stat is your criticals, is essentially your critical stat, then your luck stat is probably just for enemy drops.
But it's still it up.
It is still a strange how they were like,
it's like an anomaly.
Yeah, it's not bad, but it's just like, but why? But
oh, how strange. So according to the Earthbound Wikia page, luck is more akin to IQ, where it will affect your accuracy. Which I guess makes sense, but still, every
Tell me-
fucking game I know that has luck is for critical hits.
Tell me that's a fucking translation error, please.
Nope.
That makes no sense.
Nope. Well, it kind of does, dude. Like, if you throw your yo-yo at a monster, you might need to get lucky to actually hit it.
That's fair, I suppose.
It's a small stretch, but, like, it's still fucking weird.
It is. It's fair. That's fair. It could be the same as, because I know the one character, his whole thing is he builds weapons and tools to attack, right?
Yeah, Jeff.
And he uses, Jeff, doesn't he have like a little ray gun or whatever, and that's his main weapon?
Kind of, yeah. He has
Okay,
various
so-
guns, but it's actually, he can't get he can't do a smash attack.
Yeah, I know
because
about
he uses
that.
projectiles. It's actually, it's really weird. It kind of sucks. But in the Mother 1 and 2 on GBA that was only released in Japan, he can. We don't
What
know
the
why.
hell?
Everyone thinks it's like an error or something.
Yeah, it
we
must
don't
be
know
a
if they actually
coding
changed
issue or
it, but
something
like,
then.
yeah.
I don't know. That's weird. But
What was one of your other
'cause-
games, man?
the second game I brought up was Fire Emblem, because the criticals in that game are probably the simplest critical hit concept I've ever seen in my life. Pretty much, you go into battle, and you're gonna see your character, the enemy character. I'm talking about older Fire Emblem, like Fire Emblem on the Game Boy. That's the
Like Sacred Stones and stuff.
Yes, like those, just the two on GBA are the ones that I'm going to be referring to, because the way I'm going to describe this is exactly how you're going to find it in those games. You're going to enter a battle, you're going to see your character and the enemy character, and there's going to be your life bar, your equipped weapon, and then in the middle there's going to be a box. And in the box you're going to have your hit chance, the enemy's hit chance, the damage you're doing, the damage the enemy's doing, your critical hit chance, and the enemy's critical hit chance. The higher your crit number, the higher the percentage of getting a critical hit. So if you have a crit number of 50, every 1 out of 2 attacks by statistics should be a critical hit.
Yeah.
Right? And I like the way they do it. Sorry, go ahead.
So it actually shows your probability.
Yes.
How is the probability determined? Is it based on stats too?
It is not based on stats per se.
Okay.
The only stat that slightly affects critical hits, again, to my knowledge, they were a little wonky in the Game Boy Advance. It did get smoothed out in later games, but luck, the higher your luck, the lower the chance, the lower potential chance your enemy will have to crit you. So if you it's a strange concept. It works, but you never really notice it, because, I mean, to my knowledge, you need a high amount of luck to reduce it by any significant amount, and even the significant amount isn't very significant. Like,
Okay.
I've had characters with, because your luck stat maxes at 30 in the Game Boy Advance games at least.
All right.
So I've had characters with like 23 luck only reduce the enemy's chance by like maybe like 3 or 4%. Which,
well,
I mean,
that's kind of lame.
Which, I mean, you never know. It could be the difference between keeping your character or losing your character. But I mean, it's just, I wish it was just a little more significant.
Yeah.
But
So what else is the number based around then?
the number is also based around, there are a couple of things that factor into it. Certain classes have a naturally higher chance to crit, such as Myrmidons, Swordmasters, and Berserkers are the main 3. Assassins in the later games also have a higher crit chance. Myrmidons, I believe, have a natural +5 to their crit.
Nice.
So but I mean, 5%, so 1 out of every 20 attacks, I mean, might save your ass.
Yeah.
A Swordmaster, I believe, has a natural 20% chance, and a Berserker has a natural 25% chance, I believe.
Nice.
And of course, so Swordmasters in the first couple games, broken. If you get a couple of them, you win. So, and then another thing that affects crit chance is certain weapons. You can get very, very weak weapons at the start of the game. The slim category of weapons, they all carry a natural +5 boost to your crit. And a little later in the game, and in most Fire Emblem games, the very first Myrmidon / Swordmaster that you ever find will always have a little thing called a Killing Edge, which is a sword that gives you a +30 to your crit chance. And that has carried over into all of the Fire Emblem game. The killing weapons are a very, very popular archetype.
Okay.
They've gotten very broken, in my opinion, in later games. I hate how the newer Fire Emblem games have foregone weapon durability. Because in the older games, you could get a killing edge and you're like, oh my god, it's so OP. You can only hit somebody with it 20 times and it'll break.
Yeah.
So it's like, you gotta choose, like, do you want to burn through that thing and, like, slaughter everybody, or do you want to hang on to that thing for when you fight somebody tough?
Yeah. It's a good way to balance out your weapon choices.
It is, and that's why I love the older Fire Emblem games so much. I don't like what they're doing with the new ones, but that's a topic for another episode.
Yeah.
So, of course, now the next thing you immediately think of is, what if I give a Swordmaster a Killing Edge, or I give a Berserker a Killer Axe? Well, you win. No, it's not
no
that.
Questions.
It's not that insane. But I think the highest crit chance I've ever had in game was I had a Swordmaster with nearly maxed out luck and skill stats and stuff. And skill is just your chance to hit. And I think skill also slightly affects your crit chance, but I could be wrong.
Yeah.
So I had a Swordmaster with an A rank support and a B rank support. Both of those supports with other characters boosted his crit chance by another 15%. Both of the supports together gave him an extra 15%. Then I gave him a special sword called a Wodo.
Okay.
I'm probably butchering that name. That special sword has an inherent crit boost of 40. So you only get 15 hits with it. So I was running
into a boss.
I was running around with a 75% chance to crit. And I was walking through people. It was
I hope so.
Wonderful. So
I don't know. I really like how it literally just shows you your percentage chance.
It's nice.
Could you imagine if you had that in Pokemon, so you didn't have to like calculate it when you're trying to like IV train or whatever the fuck?
Yeah, no kidding. And I like the way that critical hits in Fire Emblem work as well. The way they work is when you land one, your damage gets tripled.
Oh god, that's so
if
nice.
it is.
It's
right?
like a true critical.
It is. It's like if you get one, like the other guy's dying. And that's definitely how I feel critical hits work best as it's like, if you pull one off, you're doing great. So, for example, if I have Lindis, right, from the first Fire Emblem, and I have her with a Killing Edge or whatever, let's say she's fighting a guy, she's going to do 9 damage, and she pulls off a critical hit. That 9 damage is going to become 27 after the critical hit.
Juicy.
So, and like, to put it into perspective as how broken critical hits can be, in Fire Emblem, if your speed is high enough, you can hit the enemy twice. So let's say, for example, I gave a character an iron sword and they had 0 chance to crit, and they hit them twice for 5 damage. So total, that's 10 in one attack.
Yeah.
Now let's say I gave the same character a Killing Edge, and I'm not going to worry about damage boosts or anything like that, but let's say they were going to do the same 5 damage, but they hit 2 critical hits. So that 5 damage becomes 15 in 2 attacks.
30.
Exactly. So it triples the damage outright. So you can hit the same enemy 3 times with the weaker weapons, or you can maybe get lucky with the crits, and it's a very, very nice system. And when I'm playing through Fire Emblem, it really helps you plan what you want to do. Because if you're like, I can kill this guy if I get a crit, but I only have like a 13% chance, but then you throw somebody else at him and you're like, okay, now I have a 40% chance, or, whatever. And you also have to be careful when the enemies have the killer weapons and all that other stuff. Then it gets fucking scary and whatnot, but
I like that system.
it is. It's really nice.
Yeah.
Now, what was your second game?
Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga.
I should have fucking known.
Yeah, you should have. Because in that game, you have the stash stat, which is more or less luck. That's what it is. And that's your probability, or it affects your probability of getting a lucky hit, which is their version of criticals.
Yeah.
What I like about their system is when you level up, your stats will increase and all, but then you get this little rolling box, like the Lucky 2's like holding it up, and you can select a stat to increase even more.
It's
so
like
if you wanted to go crazy, every time you leveled up, you could just do your stash stat, and by the end of the game, that's going to be like your highest stat, and every hit you do is going to be like a lucky hit.
Yeah, damn near.
I like the ability to affect your critical hits, like even in Fire Emblem there, you were saying with like the swords and the weapons.
Yeah.
Like that's in a lot of RPGs too. Certain weapons or armor will allow you to have more or better critical hits. I just like the ability to influence it rather than it being like completely random.
It's always nice, and that's why when I was talking about Pokemon, when I said Gen 2 and onwards, how they were nightmares for Nuzlocke, it's like, again, we'll talk about like Nuzlocke and like self-inflicted challenges and stuff in another segment, but it's like the general consensus is if a Pokemon faints, it's gone forever. You can never use it again. So it's like if you're trying to catch something and you crit it and it dies, like that's it. And you probably wouldn't have killed it if you hadn't got a crit. And your Pokemon probably wouldn't have died if the cheating gym leader didn't get a crit. It's just one of those things. It kind of sucks that it's random chance. Because I can't count the amount of times that me personally, and also the people that I've watched on YouTube, they run into something rare and awesome, and then either it crits one of their Pokemon and they lose it, or they crit it and they lose the rare Pokemon.
Yeah. And
it's just so heartbreaking to watch.
See, I'm okay with random. I just like influencing it mildly. Like, if you had a guarantee of critical hits every turn or something, that kind of takes the fun out of it.
Which is why Generation 1 in Pokemon, they were like, we gotta stop this.
Yeah. So, yeah, with Mario Luigi Superstar Saga, you have the ability to influence, but it has implications on the rest of the game in that if you choose to increase your stash stat a bunch, you can't increase your other stats because you only get to do it once per level up.
And also, if I remember correctly, if you try to put too many level up stat boosts into one stat, your roller gets smaller and smaller, doesn't it?
Yes. So I don't think you can get 0, but it would be 1, 2, 3 or whatever. If you were to do it on different stats each time, I think it can get as high as 5. So if you did your attack stat on your first level up and you got 3, and then you did your defense stat on the next one and you got 3, and then you did your speed stat or whatever, your roller would increase its values up to 3, 4, or 5 or something like that.
Yeah.
So I remember it rewards variability, but at the same time, if you did it all into one stat, if you really just cared about one stat, you could still get 3 each time.
Yeah. The lowest I've ever seen when I played through Mario was, I think I got dumb and I abused my stash stat a little too much, which is kind of ironic because we're talking about it. And I think my roller got as low as, because I think it rolls through like 6 numbers, but it's like, you'll have a couple 1s, some 2s, a 3, and a 4 or whatever it is. It's been a while.
Yeah.
But I think I abused mine to the point where I had all 1s and a single 2. And I was like, okay, I need to stop. And then sure enough, my next level up, I tried to put it into attack, and it was like 3 3 3 4 4. Like I was guaranteed to get a big number.
Yeah.
Right? So it's just that, is it's like you could play through and pound all your points into your stash or your attack or whatever at every single level up, and you might have a really high stat early on in the game, but about halfway through the game, if I'm doing it varied, I'm going to have the same stat plus all of your other ones. I'm going to have double.
Yep.
Because, you know, I'm not losing out on points in the rolls because you're being varied, right? But anyway,
yeah.
I apologize. We're getting a bit off topic. Continue on stash.
I mean, there's nothing really else to say about stash. The important thing was that there's a degree of variability and you can influence it.
Yeah.
And I really like being able to influence critical hits.
Yeah, it's nice. That way you can potentially, if you're like, I need to be able to pull some shit out of my ass, you can take steps to be able to pull it out of your ass.
Yep.
Right? Now,
so, what was your third game?
My third game that I picked is, I picked Destiny. Because the critical hits in that are very consistent. You have full control over them.
Oh, really?
Yep. Because the way it works is it's that third example that I mentioned earlier where the enemies have soft spots. So, for example, most of the enemies in Destiny, if I shoot them in the head, I'm going to see yellow numbers pop up instead of white numbers. So if I'm shooting a guy in the chest and I'm getting, 112, 122, whatever, if I pop him in the head, it's suddenly going to skyrocket up to like fucking 500 damage. So it's a matter of, is your aim that good? Are your weapons stable enough? Can you follow the enemies around? Because it's like they're not all just going to sit there like, shoot me in the pee-pee. But it's like we're playing and we get into a boss encounter and it's like, what am I going to do? Am I going to shoot him in the goddamn face or am I going to shoot him in the fucking foot? Like,
that kind of begs a question though, because if we were to define a critical hit, would we be able to include that in there, or would that be a game mechanic in and of itself as enemies having weak spots?
Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, because when I define a critical hit, it's an attack that is stronger than your regular attack as the result of probabilities or random chance, which you may be able to influence through stats.
Yeah, whereas I consider critical hits to just be, at their core, is just bonus damage. So it's definitely on it's in a gray area, in my opinion, because it's very clearly a critical hit. Like, you're doing bonus damage somehow, whether it's probability or hitting a weak spot or whatever, but then it's just it's the same thing, right? It is simply a weak spot, and in lots of games enemies have weak spots, because you could also compare it to the fact that if I have a Charmander and I use Flamethrower on a Bulbasaur, the Bulbasaur is going to take more damage than the Squirtle will, because that's a weak spot. Yeah. It's not necessarily critical hit, and the critical hit is something entirely different. But I do still have to consider it a critical hit, just because I've always found critical hits to just be bonus damage at their core.
So, I mean, I'll have to agree to disagree. And I'll still hold that it's a completely different mechanic with weak points and stuff.
Which is fair.
But maybe for anyone listening, if they want to chime in the comments, would something like hitting a weak spot, like if you're playing COD and you shoot someone in the head, it does more damage than if you shoot them in the gut. Would that be considered a critical hit because it applies bonus damage compared to a normal hit?
Yeah, it's definitely a gray area, and I'm totally okay with agreeing to disagree. I consider it a critical hit because, again, I find critical hits to be at their core just bonus damage, whether it occurs randomly, whether you have a little bit of influence over it, or whether you have complete influence over it. Is bonus damage is a critical hit, at least in my books. But I 100% totally understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
And like I said, I just compared it to Pokemon type advantages, and it is close to the same thing. You know, you're exploiting a weakness, so is that technically a critical hit? You know?
Yeah.
It'd be like if I kicked you in the nuts. Like, is that a critical hit, or did I just be a dick about it?
Both.
Okay. It'll feel like a critical hit.
Yeah.
But
So, you know, I think that would be a good spot to wrap up our first segment on, what did we call this?
we're calling it the Mechanics Workshop.
Mechanics Workshop. I remembered workshop. I forgot the first word. I kept wanting to say critical.
Yes. Welcome to episode 2, where we talk about critical hits again. No, yeah. Mechanics Workshop will be in next segment. We'll have something new planned out for you to have a discussion about.
Yeah. So, oh, dude, we've been recording for like an hour and 16 minutes.
Look at us go.
Yeah. So, for our main discussion, what we said we were going to do in the last podcast is we're going to talk about games that we got as kids. Just
good
general
times.
discussion. So, do you want me to start, or do you want to start?
How many did you dig up?
What do you mean?
Like, I got 3. That I'm going to talk about.
I mean, I was going to talk less about the games themselves and more like the process of acquisition, like what was my first stuff like that.
Yeah, that's what I was going to do too.
Okay.
I just have three examples.
Okay.
So
Well,
I'm just wondering how many you have.
I could
You know
come
what?
up with 3.
It's fine. I went first last time, so you go first this time.
All right. So, when I was really young, my parents had already bought a Nintendo Entertainment System, the NES. And, I mean, I played it on very rare occasion. Like, every once in a while, I'd do Mario Bros. I have pretty fond memories of, like, my mom playing Rainbow Islands and the Barbie game, and she was really good at both of those.
Addams Family.
Addams Family, too, because these games are brutally difficult, especially Barbie.
Those games put hair on your chest.
Especially Barbie.
For anybody who doesn't understand completely what a Nintendo Entertainment System is, first of all, I'm sorry. Second of all, we'll maybe talk about that in a different podcast, because y'all need to get learned.
Yeah. So for a future podcast, we'll talk about old games. Old consoles. But no, so it was Nintendo's first console, so it came out in 85, so it's a really old thing.
Good times.
But the first, I guess it would be a handheld console, but the first console that I ever bought for myself was the Game Boy Advance. And that was, I want to say 2003. It may have been 2001. It was right before the SP came out. Because I remember buddies of mine getting that like a month later and me being like, what is that? It's so much better. But I bought my Indigo Game Boy Advance at a superstore because they had a deal where it was $119.99 and you got 2 Game Boy Color games for free.
Nippy.
So the first 2 games I ever got was Pokemon Crystal and Donkey Kong Country.
Dude, you played Pokemon Crystal to death.
Yeah, like my save file on there is right now is about 67 hours.
Yep.
But I've played through that game at least 3 times, probably 4.
Also, quick tidbit, I just checked. It was released February 2003, the SP.
Okay, so I got my Advance in 2003. So
good 14 goddamn years ago.
Yeah, man. But I mean, I'll probably never forget that. And even like maybe a year ago when I was cleaning out boxes of stuff, I actually found the Superstore flyer ad where it had that Game Boy Advance in it.
Nice.
Yeah. But so the reason I chose Pokemon Crystal is I had no clue that Pokemon games existed. I just watched the anime and the movies.
Yep.
Actually, I guess on some sort of subconscious level, I knew about the games because of that weird commercial with the bus that they compacted into a Game Boy Color. But
I love
even
that commercial.
Even back when I first watched that, when I was probably 4 or 5, I didn't comprehend it because I didn't know like handheld games existed really.
Yep.
I even have a memory of when we were looking for a house in our current town when I was about 6. I remember looking through a house and we were looking at the bedrooms and one of them was a kid's room and they had a Game Boy Color in there and I was like, Mom, Dad, buy this one. It has a Game Boy in it.
Yeah. No, son, that doesn't come with the house.
Aww. But yeah, so I got Crystal and then Donkey Kong Country. I was actually going to get a Hamtaro game because I'd seen Hamtaro on TV.
That Hamtaro game is Satan.
You know what? I've heard it's good.
It's cute, but like you get to a couple of parts where you're just like, ah! Yeah. I would know I played the shit out of it.
Yeah. I remember you had it too. But like the only reason I didn't get it is because I was going to, and my mom was like, I'd probably go with Donkey Kong. I know what Donkey Kong is. And I was like, Mom's so smart, I'm going to get Donkey Kong.
Mom knows everything.
So I actually got about 30% of the way through Donkey Kong Country because it shows you what percentage you're at. And I could not beat the level I was at for the life of me. So it's still at 30%. 14 years later.
Do you want to know why you couldn't beat that level, Emmett?
Because I suck.
You didn't have the power. Nintendo power.
I can't argue with that. I didn't have the power until about 2007.
There you go.
Actually, we didn't keep the box, but we kept the manual for our NES. And I actually found the insert for the first issue of Nintendo Power, like the subscription insert.
Oh, that's cool.
It's fucking cool.
That's really
like
awesome.
The claymation cover.
Get that shit framed.
Maybe I will. But no, yeah, those were my first games. What were yours?
First of all, to anybody listening, I was a spoiled child. Okay? I've grown up a lot. I respect my parents immensely for all the things that they have done for me. So don't judge too much. But
Judging.
God knows I was gonna say because God knows everybody will. But so my first video game experience was kind of similar. My parents had an NES and a Super Nintendo and everything. Back when I was like first born and everything, but it's like the problem is like me and my friends we'd fight over it all the time because like we're 3-4 years old, right? We don't understand the concept of good sportsmanship and whatnot.
Yeah.
So it's like we'd convince mom and dad to put it in the playroom for a while. We'd fucking get mad at each other for cheating during Mario Kart or whatever, and then they'd be like, "All right, fuck this shit," and they'd put it away. So then I remember, and it's a very clear memory for me, even though I was fucking 5 years old. But my dad come downstairs one day into the playroom, and he's got his arms behind his back, and he goes, "Pick one." And I go, "Why?" He's like, "Just trust me, pick one." So I'm like, "Okay." So I pick his right arm, and he brings out Pokemon Yellow, and I'm like, "Oh my god, that's so awesome!" Because I loved watching Pokemon and stuff, right?
Right.
So I was like, "Oh my god, this is so amazing!" And I lost my marbles. And then I was like, "Thanks, Dad, thanks. Now I just have to wait until my birthday, and maybe I can get a Game Boy or whatever, right?" Because my birthday was, I think, like a month or two away at that point.
Right.
And my dad's like, "Oh, well, about that." And then he had a friggin' Game Boy in his other hand or whatever, right? So friggin' 5-year-old kid screaming at the top of his lungs.
Was it a Game Boy or Game Boy Color?
It was a Game Boy Color. Sorry.
Right. Do you remember what color it was?
Oh yeah, I do. It was one of the clear purple ones.
Oh, atomic purple. The fucking best one.
It was so great. But so yeah, I'm like screaming, I'm like losing my fucking mind. And again, I remember this very clearly. And dad, gives me I give him a hug, whatever, and he goes upstairs. The first thing that happens is my mom starts yelling at him. His birthday's only like a month away. You couldn't have freaking waited. Like, and he's like, what? Like, fucking, I don't know what happened. I think maybe he'd gotten like a bonus at work or something like that, or he had had some overtime or something. Just all of a sudden he just dropped it on me, right? And I was like, nice. So yeah, I lose my mind. The only downside is, I'm 5 years old playing Pokemon Yellow, where you start with a Pikachu and the first gym leader has frickin' ground types.
Oh god.
So
drag your ass back into the forest, catch yourself a Caterpie.
Yeah, hope for the best. No, I just caught I think I leveled up a Pidgey and I got a Pidgeotto and I somehow gusted it to death. I don't know what I did.
Nice.
But so that's my first getting a video game memory. And again, like, I was fucking 5 years old, and that's a very, very clear memory for me.
Yeah. When I was young, the games that I bought, I mostly stuck to Mario because I knew Mario and Mario was good. Everything else I got was kind of related to what I liked outside of video games. So I bought a lot of like Nicktoons games and like SpongeBob and movie tie-in games, so like Incredibles and stuff. I loved the shit out of those back then. Those games are complete ass now.
Oh yeah, they're so bad. I don't know. That's like what, like, I'm not gonna get too off topic, but like the nerd, he talks about Batman Forever and just how garbage it is and how bad the controls are and how confusing it is and stuff. Man, me and my buddy played the shit out of that game, and I don't know how. We were fucking 8 years old. We never had an issue getting on.
Yeah.
But I mean, when you're that old, button mashing is second nature, so I mean...
Right.
But it's just that. It's like you play them now when your brain actually works, right? It's like, God, why are these so hard these days?
It's so weird, though, because, like, as a collector, we all consider, like, Jimmy Neutron and Attack of the Twonkies or whatever to be, like, an absolute shit game. But I played that and beat it probably 4 times back in the day, because I just loved it.
Absolutely.
Maybe I just didn't know what a good game was.
I mean, yeah, that's also very possible. But so what was your second, like, getting a game experience?
I really don't remember. I do know at one Christmas, and this is probably one of the first ones after Crystal and Donkey Kong Country. My parents got me Super Mario Bros. 4 Advanced, which is Super Mario Bros. 3 on the Game Boy Advance.
Good times.
Yeah. I did not beat that game until at least 10 years later.
Yeah, that was just a few years ago that you told me you beat it, and I was like, oh shit, all right.
Yeah. Like, and that's one when you were living with your parents, we'd come over and we'd play all the way up through like the 7th world or whatever. And then we'd have to turn it off, and because that one was on the NES, there's no saves, right?
Goddamn NES.
Yeah, it took me a really long time to beat that game, but I loved it. I loved it. I did not know it was an NES game until I started collecting, though.
Yeah.
And that was one of the first NES games that I bought.
Yep, classic.
Yeah.
If you want a copy, Jukebox will sell it to you for $1,200. It's super rare old game.
Oh, gross.
So if you want to buy Mario Bros. 3 on NES, just PayPal him $1,200. He'll send you a copy. I
mean, if you want to gift me $1,200, sure. But I mean, fuck off.
But if you want to not be a jag and go buy it for its actual price of $5 at your nearest goddamn flea market, then
yeah. You know what? That's something we discussed before. Is we might actually make another segment where we just kind of bitch about eBay sellers, like super overcharging for games and stuff.
Oh, absolutely. It's ridiculous.
No, when I got Mario Bros. 3 on the NES, I got it for $4.
Yep. Sounds about right.
And it's funny because I got it at a secondhand store that was kind of near the first boom of like everyone getting nostalgic and buying these games up, and that's when the prices of the games started increasing like tenfold. That was between 2008 2010. That was when like the Angry Video Game Nerd and Screw Attack and stuff was blowing up.
Yep.
So
the dark ages.
This secondhand store pretty much doubled to tripled, and in some cases like quintupled the prices that they used to charge for these kinds of games. Mostly because I went in there every single day looking for them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
I'm
don't
glad
do
you
that
did.
anymore.
I got Final Fantasy VII on fucking PS3. PS3. Kill me. Burn me at the stake for that.
Okay.
Got it on PS1 for fucking, what did I pay for that?
$2.
$2. And it's a black label with a misprint.
Yeah, I actually was pissed off about that because I was like at the store and there was a bunch of RPGs and stuff, and I had no money at the time, so I bought what I could. And then I like call up my buddy and I'm like, hey, like Kelryx, come over here. We got like Final Fantasy VII and Xenosaga, and they're like $2 each, and you can totally have them. Just come get them. And you did. And then once we left, I was like, wait, show me your Final Fantasy. And sure as shit, the I was over top of the other letters. It was the misprint, and I was fucking pissed.
Yeah, you were mad. I was like, I'm sorry, but it's mine.
Yeah. Like right now, I have 2 black label Final Fantasy VIIs and a green label. That would have just completed the trio.
Yeah. Well, if I die young, it goes to you.
Okay, I can live with that.
You'll literally just kick in the funeral doors. Where's the game? No, I'm sad he's dead. Where the fuck is the game?
You're not allowed to die.
Yeah, no.
No, so...
I'm gonna live forever, don't worry.
Right, of course, immortal.
Yeah.
Tell me, what was the second game you remember getting?
Picking up Fire Emblem out of a discount bin at complete fucking random.
Oh, God.
Me and Mom.
Give us the lowdown, because you talked about this in our first episode, too.
Me and Mama Kelryx were rolling through Walmart like freaking badasses. No, not actually. It's fucking Walmart, and I'm shopping with my mother. So anyways,
I remember this a lot differently.
you know how shopping with your mother goes. They're like, do you want to come with? And you're like, yeah. Then it gets so boring so fast.
Yep.
Anyways, so she's boring the shit out of me. We've been there for like 3 fucking hours at this point, and I'm just like, Mom, we need to leave.
Did you ever throw a fit?
No.
Okay.
Maybe when I was like really young, but like for the most part I was pretty good. Like I'd bug her and be like, Mom, can we leave? She'd be like, fuck off, no.
We still need milk and 500 other things that I didn't know we needed.
Exactly. Well, she'd have her list. Oh yeah, this will take no time. And then you're walking, it's like, well, we need this, this is on sale, and that's not. And this one seems like it weighs about a gram less. But, Mom grocery shopping. Anyways.
Yeah.
So I was just bugging her, and like she was like, do you want to go look at the games? Let's shut you up for 5 minutes. I'm like, yes. So we go, and I'm just looking through the discount bin, and it's like, if you've ever seen the artwork for the first Fire Emblem game on GBA, maybe when we get the video edited and everything, we'll throw a quick picture up there right now. But
just give me
just
more
so you
work.
I'll find the picture, Jesus. But just so you can understand how it would attract, because I think I was 8 at the time, 8 or 9. So the first thing you see is a freaking case with the word fire in it, and a dude on the cover with red hair and a giant sword, a chick with blue hair and a katana, and another dude with dark blue hair with a giant frickin' axe. And the first thing you're gonna go is, holy shit, this looks awesome. Back in my day, before y'all young bean sprouts got this dang here interwebs, we didn't get to Google games. We didn't get to watch IGN reviews and shit. It was like, this looks cool.
Kidding.
Yeah, I'm gonna roll the dice on this one. Fuck it. You had to wade through a lot of shit back then.
Yep.
But
and it's almost funny that we say that, because we did have the internet.
We
personally didn't use it.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah. I didn't know you could for a very long time.
Well,
but
it's like super weird, because like I beat Breath of Fire 3 a while ago, and I looked it up on the internet, and sure as shit, there's a review from IGN in like 1998. I was like, this exists? You existed?
It's kind of fucking weird when you think about it, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I picked it up and it looked super cool. It was in the discount bin for I think $15.
Nice.
And I mean, brand new games back then are still $40 to $60. I mean, depending on console versus handheld or whatever. I mean, right?
Yeah.
So they might have even been a little cheaper than that back then. I don't know. I didn't look at price tags. But anyway, to my understanding, the average price of a new Game Boy Advance game at that point in time was anywhere from $40 to $50.
Yeah.
So finding one sealed and everything, which again, I was an ignorant kid. I didn't understand the value of a sealed game versus a not sealed, whatever.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, could you imagine if I still had that shit in the packaging? Moneymaker. Anyways.
100 right there.
Bing! What? Rent? How about that? Like Wayne and Garth, we got $5,000. We got $5,000. Anyways, I digress. So I pick it up and I'm looking at it. It looks super fun, and because I'm just looking at the box art. I'm not like, oh, let me just read a synopsis here,
Right.
So I'm like, Mom, please, and she's like, oh God, not this again. I'm like, Mom, please, no. I'll clean my room. You said that last time. But I did. Pushing your shit under your bed doesn't fucking count. It does.
Counts in our minds, and it still counts.
Kid argument. I still do that shit these days. Ash gets mad. Anyways.
Of course.
But, not actually, but, so, standard kid argument with his mother. And I'm like, Mom, I'm serious. I promise, I will clean my room. Please. I was like, I've been here forever. I'm wasting away. I'm going to die. At least let me play a game before that happens. So she caves. She's like, all right, fine. At least it's cheap. It'll, whatever.
Yeah.
It took me 20 minutes to beat the first level. It was a tutorial level.
How do I move?
Exactly.
What do I do? Where do I go?
So, quick tutorial for anybody who wants to play an old Fire Emblem game. To move a character, you have to click a character, A button, on the character, and a grid will pop up. You can move to any one of the blue squares. You have to then move your cursor to a blue square, click A again, and then once your character arrives at that space, click A again to confirm that you want to stay there. So I'm a kid, and I'm clicking, and this grid's popping up, and because it's a tutorial level, you have a set path. I didn't know that. So I'm attempting to move my character for 20 minutes, thinking my fucking game is broken or some shit. Finally, I figured it out.
Mom, it's broken. We gotta take it back.
Yeah, right? I think I might have actually pulled that one on her, and she was like, you fuck right off. But, so yeah, that was my second noticeable, getting a game as a child, because it wasn't Pokemon, it was a turn-based strategy game. I went from bottom of the barrel simple to fucking pull your head out of your ass.
Yeah. It's funny, I didn't have these problems because I actually read the manuals.
I mean,
I'm a fucking weird kid.
I mean, I like the manuals too, but it's kind of funny considering how I read now, but back then I was like, pictures, game.
Yep.
We kept all our manuals. I probably still have the manual for Fire Emblem kicking around somewhere at Mom and Dad's, but...
I know I still have all of mine.
Yeah, I know you do.
It increases the value, bruh.
Yeah.
I actually had all my boxes until a couple of years ago. They accidentally got thrown out. Made me real sad.
Yeah, that sucks. That sucks real hard. But yeah, so that's my second noteworthy game experience.
Yeah. I remember, still on Game Boy Advance, the first console that I actually bought myself, and I mean technically the first console I really played, because I don't really count the NES, because that was a super casual once in a blue moon thing.
You just pick it up and bullshit with Mario Bros for 5 minutes, not make it to the top of the flagpole, and throw the controller at the TV. Wait, no, sorry, that was my childhood.
Yep.
That was me. I'm getting us mixed up.
Yep. But no, I bought a Wii in 2009,
I want to say 6.
No, it was either 2008 or 2009 because I did not get that at launch. I got it when Guitar Hero 3 came out.
Right.
Because I was a monster
We were
at
in
Guitar
junior
Hero.
high, right?
Yep.
Yeah. He
Yeah.
twitched.
So, I mean, I would have
Story
been,
for another time.
14 or whatever around there by that time.
Mm-hmm.
But before that, it was just my Game Boy Advance. And the last game I remember getting for it, because Game Boy Advance games were pretty much phased out at that point, it was nothing but DS, was Nicktoons Unite. I remember it being $43.96 at REB Games, and I beat it in 4 hours, and it was a shit game.
I remember seeing commercials for that game, and I was like, it looks so cool. You get to be SpongeBob and Danny Phantom and Timmy
Yeah.
Turner and all this, and it's no.
Yeah, I was most hyped about Danny Phantom, but like, I tried to
me too. I
return
love
it.
Danny
I
Phantom.
like bugged my mom to take me back to try and return it, and they wouldn't let me return it. They're like, if it's not technically broken, we can't take it back. I was just like super sad kid who like wasted all of his, allowance money and whatever else to get this really shitty game.
Yeah, that's how it goes. It happens.
Yep.
That's like, I remember getting God of War 3 and love God of War. Great games.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to go too in, but I'm just going to compare to like what happened to you is I buy God of War 3 and I'm super hype about it. And it was the same thing. Like my full playthrough, I think, took me 9 hours.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's
disappointingly
like I got double.
short.
Yeah, it's exactly that. It was the same as when I played through like Star Wars: The Force Unleashed. Those are stupidly short games. Like it's not that they're not any amount of fun. Like I love God of War and The Force Unleashed. Star Wars games are freaking they're great.
Yeah.
They're tons of fun. It's one of those things. It's like really like we couldn't have done something to fucking extend these a bit. Like
just one more level, please.
Yeah, just one more level. I don't care if it's Kratos balls deep in Aphrodite again. Just one more level.
Gross.
Well, like 15 when I got to that scene, I was just like, Jesus, fuck, all right.
I've never played a God of War.
They're wonderful.
I'll take your word for it.
I mean, I've got them all. If next time you're over, if you want to give them a whirl.
God, no.
They're not too wickedly difficult or anything. They're good stress relief is how I think of them.
They're far out of the realm of games that I actually give a shit about.
Yeah, I'm aware.
Yeah.
There's one God of War game. Like, you know me. I don't rage quit games. I don't.
Yeah.
I will calmly put my controller down and be like, fuck that shit. But I don't scream and rage quit games. Oh, you bet your ass I did with God of War Ascension. There's one part in that game that is so impossibly difficult. And our one friend, he beat it. Like, it was so fucking hard, it had to get patched.
Oh, God.
Before I was able to beat it. I tried for like 3 days straight and I couldn't get past it. And so, buddy, he managed to do it. And I've told him time and time again, I'm like, you're not even bragging. Like, full respect that you were able to do that.
Yeah.
Like, it's not fucking funny. So, and what it is you're on this elevator, right? So it goes up a level and then you got to fight a bunch of enemies. And then it goes up a level and you got to fight a bunch of enemies. And then it goes up a level and you got to fight, I think, 4 waves of enemies. And you don't get any health back. You don't get any magic back. So it's like, you better be a god of dodging, not a god of war. Like, I swear to freaking God.
That's
puns.
horseshit, man.
It is. It was terrible. And she even looked at me, she's like, are you okay? And I'm like, no. Like, this game is giving me legit rage. Like, I'm this close to breaking my fucking PlayStation. Like, I'm livid right now.
I've had moments with that, but mostly just with really old, difficult games.
Yeah.
I've never broken a controller.
Me either.
That seems to be a common thing. I just don't understand it.
No, I don't understand why people throw controllers either.
Well,
I mean, heat
even
of the
past
moment,
that,
I
just
get it.
like, I mean, I've even heard stories from people like, yeah, I was so pissed off, I just like dropped it on the ground a little bit forcefully and it fucking like cracked in half. I don't get that, because I'll like throw my controller at the couch and it'll bounce off and roll onto the ground, like when I'm just getting the controllers out to play and stuff.
Yeah.
I've never broken a controller, so I don't know what the fuck these people are doing.
I don't get it either. Like, I don't understand, like, completely different topic, but I don't understand breaking phones either. I've heard people tell me stories, I dropped my phone literally like half a foot and the whole screen shatters. Jesus, man. Well, I dropped my phone the other day. It hit my hardwood floor, and it made a sound. Like, I was like, my screen's done. Like 100%. It was like a very sharp glass break sound.
Yeah.
There's not a scratch on it. Or on the floor. I'm like, what the hell?
Those stories aren't nearly as common anymore, but the big deal with it was when, the smartphone revolution came in, everyone had an iPhone. Because that was the big deal. The iPhone was the smartphone.
Yep.
Until the iPhone 4 or 5, they had a completely glass screen. So those are the ones where you'd drop it half a foot, it would shatter. They have since fixed that. So has every other mobile company ever. So you actually got to put some good force into like hitting your screen for it to explode.
Bring a hammer over. I need to test this.
Speaking of screens exploding, my iPod Nano, it was failing on me for quite a while, and I was so pissed off at it because I'd charge it and it'd be like this error screen and all this other stuff. And I'm like, well, it's already fucked. I might as well just try hitting it. So I took it like between my index finger and my thumb at the end of it, and I just flung it down at like our basement concrete floor pretty much. The fucking screen shattered and like exploded out. Like there was like a 5-foot radius where there was glass and stuff, and I was just like, oh shit. My iPod worked. Sometimes you just gotta hit it.
Yeah. It's the same. Like, I left my iPod out in a blizzard once, like minus 30 weather. And it was like, it was perfectly fine when I found it the next morning.
Yeah.
I don't know how, but
it's like old TVs. Sometimes you just gotta hit it.
Right? Or old computers or whatever. You just gotta give her a little love tap.
Yep.
With a machete. I mean, what?
No, with a hammer.
Sledgehammer?
Sometimes. Depends how big the computer is.
So your third was your Wii.
No, my third was Nicktoons.
Right.
Fuck that game.
Sorry. Yeah, fuck that game. Yeah, no, it's one of those things. It's one of those things where I don't understand how they get past testing. Because if I was a video game tester and they were like, hey, test this out, we're really proud of it. And if I beat it in 4 hours, I'd be like, okay, cool, where's the rest?
Right?
Like, why'd you give me the demo? Give me the full fucking game. How am I supposed to tell you if it's any good or not? Like, no, that is the full game.
Gross.
I can't do this, but you're fucking fired. Like, get out.
Yeah, I don't know.
But,
do you got more?
Yeah, I got one more. And it's, you know how much I love Kingdom Hearts?
Of course.
I'm obsessed with Kingdom Hearts. Like, as I'm talking, I'm gonna find a Facebook conversation that I had with Buddy the other day.
Okay.
But so I never would have even probably paid attention to Kingdom Hearts had my mom not taken us to a family reunion, and my one uncle, his new girlfriend, she brought her son. So he brought his PlayStation 2, and he had Kingdom Hearts on it.
All right.
And I'm pretty confident that had that family reunion never happened and I'd never seen him playing that game, I probably never would have been like, I really want to play this. This looks like an incredible amount of fun. So, and like, I'm just gonna give you a quick little tidbit on this. Is super minor spoilers, but I mean, if you have any amount of shits to give about Kingdom Hearts and you haven't played the first one by now, I have no sympathy for what I'm about to say. So
oh no, my ears.
we were talking about because a big thing in Kingdom Hearts is the characters are constantly battling between it's a very elaborate description of light versus darkness. So one of the main characters, he ended up losing himself to the darkness in his heart and all this. So then he becomes all evil and shit, but then later in the series he conquers the darkness and everything, and he's able to use his darkness in the name of light and stuff. It's a little confusing if you don't have the whole story under wraps.
Right.
So, and then in the newest mainstream game, like flagship title that came out, at the end of the game, the opposite character gives into the darkness in his heart, and he almost becomes one of the main villains. But then the other guy who's already fallen into darkness and has control over it and understanding and everything, he saves him. So Buddy texted me and he's like, well, that doesn't make sense because Sora fell into darkness too earlier, because in Kingdom Hearts 1 he gives up his heart to save the chick that he likes.
Okay.
And he becomes a heartless. So Buddy was under the assumption that meant he succumbed to darkness. And I said, no, that's not the same thing. He gave up his heart for somebody. He didn't allow his own feelings of guilt and depression and everything to take over his heart.
Yeah.
Right? So I start explaining, he gave his heart to her willingly as opposed to falling into darkness and losing his heart as a result, which is how Heartless are normally made. Because when the main character Sora becomes a Heartless, you get to control him as a Heartless. He's still sentient.
Cool.
He still understands, like, oh my god, now I need to figure out a way out of this. And you're able to run around with him as a Heartless and everything, right? So, and then I also brought this nifty little thing up that again, hardcore Kingdom Hearts fans, they're aware of this. Casual fans, maybe not. Sora has 2 hearts.
That's fucking weird.
It is. So, super quick explanation is, in a prequel game, Birth by Sleep, there are 3 Keyblade characters. There's Terra, there's Ventus, there's Aqua. And they all go to the Destiny Islands, and those 3 meet Sora, Riku, and Kairi when they're all like 5 years old. So, Aqua and Terra both see the potential in Kairi and Riku respectively, and they pass the Keyblade on to them. They give them the ability to use a Keyblade later in life. Whereas Sora never got the initiation from anybody.
Okay.
So what happened is, later in the game, Ventus gets a bunch of stuff happens, and Aqua takes Ventus's heart, or she puts his body away to keep him safe, and his heart goes and finds Sora, and it merges with Sora's soul. So Sora essentially has 2 hearts. He has his own, and he has Ventus's, which is taking refuge in his to heal.
Okay.
So I was like, there's another loophole in all this, and it's like, whereas Riku let the darkness take over, but he kept his heart. He didn't become a Heartless. He just became an evil sack of shit. And then once Sora smacked some sense into him later in the first game and everything, he understood, okay, no, I fucked up and I need to repent for what I've done and all this, right? So I'm a huge Kingdom Hearts nerd. I know
we've come full circle.
We have come full circle. So, and it even got to the point where, like, I'm like answering every question my buddies can pump out, like, with perfect accuracy, and my one dude's like, hey, we better just stop, this is getting fucking irritating. I'm like, I'm sorry. But so it's just kind of hard. It's kind of crazy to think that I'm maybe never would have played Kingdom Hearts had I not gone to the family reunion, or had she not brought her son, and had I not seen him playing the first game. Because granted, I didn't get Kingdom Hearts until I think a Christmas or 2 later. I asked for it, but I mean, I didn't have PlayStation or anything. So my parents, there was a Game Boy Advance game that I didn't know about when I was younger. Like, again, internet was hit or miss.
Right.
We didn't realize, hey, I'm just going to look up all the things. So I got it on GBA, and I was like, oh my god, and immediately I was like, this isn't the same thing, but I was like, oh, that's fine, I'll still play it. And I had a blast.
Yeah.
It's a good game. And then junior high came around, and I elementary school was coming to an end, and I really wanted a PlayStation 2 so that I could get Kingdom Hearts 2. And I kept bugging my parents, and my mom ended up convincing my dad that if I could do well enough in school, they would get me a used PS2 from EB Games. So I busted my ass and I got honors.
Nice.
So I got my Kingdom Hearts 2, and that, like, so it was like I went from seeing it to playing a side game that is still 100% story relevant to getting the sequel.
Nice.
Right? And then, of course, I go back and I play the old ones, and then I get moved forward with, like, the prequel and the half sequel and, all this other stuff, right?
You lent me your PS2 at one point, and I tried to play Kingdom Hearts 2. I probably did for 3 hours or so.
Mm-hmm.
Did not have fucks to give, stopped playing.
Yep.
At that point, that was literally the first time I ever used dual analog sticks. I usually...
sure?
Yeah.
I remember you... No, never mind. Yeah, the first time you caught it was when we had the PS3. Never mind, yeah.
Yeah, so it wasn't until... like junior high, the end of junior high, when he got a PS3, that I played Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, where I learned to use dual analog sticks, but the first time I even like actually touched dual analogs was with Kingdom Hearts 2. Yep.
I loved watching you play Call of Duty. You walk forward, stop, turn a little, move forward. I'm like, dude, you can do both at once. You're like, wait, what?
No, I comprehended that. It's just I couldn't do it.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean.
Because I'd stop to aim for everything.
That, I mean, eventually you got really good.
Yeah, it was like,
you're way better than me at like
7.
zombies. Yeah, you're way better than me than like at zombies and stuff for quite a while there.
Yeah, I fucking loved zombies.
Oh, good times. But yeah, those, as far as childhood video game memories, those are probably the big ones.
Yeah,
at least for me.
Nostalgia's such a strong thing.
I hate it. I have feels now, and I don't like it.
Aww.
Aww.
Poor Kill.
No, nostalgia's always good.
It's weird. I have like acquired nostalgia, like
right?
Vicariously through others. I have nostalgia because like I didn't grow up with, the other 500 games I own.
Yeah.
But I still feel nostalgia for them in a sense.
Absolutely, because it's just playing them throws you back to when that was like the high-tech shit, right?
Yep.
It's like I can pick up a copy of, Tales of Berseria. Well, I can't. I don't own it, but whatever. But I can pick up a copy of like Tales of Berseria, and it's going to look beautiful. And then I can pick up a copy of Tales of Fantasia. No, never mind. That looks gorgeous too. I can pick up a copy of like Tales of Destiny or something like that, and it looks like fucking ass. Yep. Still wonderful.
It's a wonderful ass.
It's like Final Fantasy VII. Anybody watching, if you've never played Final Fantasy VII, or if you've never really heard of Final Fantasy VII, ask your friends. And if they're confused too, find some gameplay on YouTube, just of the PS1. And I guarantee that if you play any amount of modern video games, the first thing that's going to cross your mind is that looks like shit.
Yep.
And it does.
But at the time, it was the best looking game around.
I mean, my only argument for that is, like, when did Final Fantasy VII come out versus, like,
wasn't it 95?
97.
97? I mean, I could get up and go look at this at my shelf, but I don't want to.
Okay, no, never mind. Fair enough. So, Legend of Dragoon looks way prettier, but it came out 3 years later.
Yeah.
So, never mind. That argument's void. But, it's just that. It's like, you tell your friends, and it's like, it looks like garbage. It does, but, like, my God, the story's good, the characters are good, the gameplay's a shit ton of fun. And if you think you're some kind of badass, go fight Emerald Weapon, and just tell me how much of a badass you are after that. I'll be here waiting. If you beat Emerald Weapon, respect, because I haven't.
Come back sobbing tears, just I couldn't do it.
And if you somehow beat Emerald Weapon, oh, don't worry, we have harder stuff for you to try.
Oh, great.
Ghouls and ghosts.
The arcade version,
Yes.
because I have that. Okay, so I think that does it for this episode.
No.
Yeah.
Said Darth Vader. But yeah, we'll wrap it up here.
Our next episode,
think-
we'll be talking about Breath of the Wild. We'll have a fresh mechanic to talk about in Mechanic Workshop.
Sadly, we can't give you a preview of what that could potentially be because I literally came up with this idea all of like 3 hours ago.
Yep.
So,
That's okay.
but we will.
It'll be a surprise.
Yay! And we'll definitely try to give in future podcasts. We'll try to give little hints. You know, get the hype train going. Because of course, like if you're just starting to play Breath of the Wild or you're excited to play Breath of the Wild, of course, I'll give you a fair warning right now. There will be spoilers to a degree.
No, the next episode is going to be nothing but spoilers. That's why
Down.
that's why I haven't been talking about it.
Good idea. Okay, so 100% spoilers. And of course, we will preface the next episode with a fair spoiler warning because we don't want to ruin anybody's playthroughs. It's a beautiful game. It's a ton of fun. And I've never been happier to play through a game without consulting a guide.
Yes.
As dumb as that sounds. I play a lot of RPGs. I have to cop out a lot.
Yeah.
Some of them are brutal.
I just suffer. And
Yeah, you just burn in the fucking inferno. I'm like, I need cheats. No, not actually. I'm not that fucking lame, but you go try to do the Shadow Temple of Tales Symphony on your first fucking try. You tell me how that goes. But anyways, I digress.
Alright.
We'll wrap up the episode here. I'm KelryxsKing.
And I'm Jukeboxhero.
And we will see you in our next podcast. This has been in the Infinity Games podcast. See you guys next time.
Thanks for listening.